Welcome to the first live stream not using the iPhone. So I hope this is working, and I hope it's running at 1080p at 60. Currently seems to be I'm streaming. It's not complaining about anything, so I guess it's working compared to last week where it was a dismal failure. So being that I'm so busy now, I don't have enough. There's just not enough time in the day and in the week and in the month to do an actual recording of the various stuff that I do and the different items I get and stuff like that, and do a recording and run it through the video editor and this and that, and doing the multicam thing. It's just a huge hassle. So I've tried to streamline this, and by streamlining it, as in trying doing live streams, and then just having the recordings, and maybe if it's good enough, I'll I later on I can edit it down and stuff like that. So of course my old equipment, like these DSLRs and stuff like that, they're capable of the video output of them, but the biggest problem is that the overlays are present in the video feed, and they can't be disabled, and it just looks awful for that aspect of the for the live streaming and stuff like that. As for video recording, they're fine, but to do the live streams, you gotta do something a little different. So I'll go over briefly of the equipment here. So this camera and this camera up here, these are face cams. They are Mark IIs. So they're 1080p cameras at 60 frames. So good enough for do live streams, and of course I had to do some weird cabling and this and that and stuff like that, get some hubs, and because once you start using webcams, you start using up your USB ports, stuff like that for streaming. So my intent was to use the old trusty back here, and apparently it can't do it because it's just way too old. So this is it's a 2010 Mac. I just keep it limping along with the latest operating systems, and the only way to get the latest operating system is to use OpenCore Legacy Patcher and stuff like that. But the hardware in it's just too old to record and live stream at the same time, because it ain't got enough horsepower. So some say that computers are never obsolete. Well, to a point they are, as if you want to try to do something more modern with them, that they're just not going to do it. So I tried every setting that OBS would to try to get it to work. It would not work at all. So I gave up on it. So I'm using my 2019 MacBook Pro to stream this, and it's seems to be doing very well right now. It's not overloading the CPU, and it's streaming at 7,000 kilobits per second. So that should give you about 1080 60 on the YouTubes. And of course, being that this is a new setup for me, it's probably got a few bugs in it. Probably the audio might be a little hot in certain times and stuff like that, but little feedback from time to time, I can make adjustments and stuff like that. So enough with that. So being that this is a multicam now, of course, having OBS now, I can just hit a button and switch to the different cameras. So right now you're on the main camera. So all I got to do is hit a button, and now you're on the overhead cam. So we're going to be featuring this little new toy here, and of course I can vary the the zooming in and out of this particular one, but I got to use a different camera. So I mean, not a camera, but program. But for most part, it'll stay just like this. If I need a wider shot, I'll make it a wider shot. And of course, if you're a regular viewer to the channel, you do know that I, from time to time, use the microscope. So here's the microscope camera. I got it actually zoomed in on the conversion board. It's a PD protocol to keep the ring light running on the microscope for the temporary time. And of course, being OBS, you can check out my desktop, you know, so if you want to go over something on the desktop, we got that. And of course, we got one more camera. We got the remote camera, so the iPhone can be used for remote operations. So you can look at the main camera, and then you can glance around the room here. There's the awesome calendar that you never need to throw out or replace, and all the other little tchotchkes I got running around here. I'll have to go over this little Dewey here. It's a awesome little capacity meter for your lithium batteries or your AGM, stuff like that. So, and of course we can pan around the room and look at all my junk and stuff like that laying around. Of course, the awesome German Nixie clock from Mr. Insidious Nixies, good old Pete. So that's running, and of course all the other Nixies and VFDs. So nice to have a remote camera so we can do something interesting with that. And then of course, come back to the main camera. So we'll get the subject going here. If you remember in the past videos, I did have an automatic plant waterer that I modified because it used AA cells and would use only about half the capacity. So I modified it to have it continually run off of solar and stuff like that. And biggest problem with that little controller is, for whatever reason, it seems to lost its mind. It doesn't keep time. It doesn't come on automatically no more for whatever reason. And even on manual, if I set it to 15 minutes, it just runs until it's either out of water, or that's most of the time it runs out. And when it runs out of water, so it overwaters everything. So looking around, on the jungle site, I found this little guy, and I thought it was very interesting because, one, it's kind of like an old school irrigation controller that a lot of people are familiar with a couple of buttons and a big dial and a nice big display. This one has something a little bit more interesting in it. It also has a moisture probe. So this thing doesn't have to run on a set schedule. It can run on, depending on how dry your plant is. So let's take this out of the box, and of course now I can change camera views and not have to stare at the camera, because certain people have a problem because I don't look into the camera. Well, I'm looking at the camera, but this is not very well. So back to this little guy, and you know who you are for the person that you're not looking into the camera. Okay, noted. Looking into the camera. So we have this from the jungle site, the Beday, and it yes, it sounds just as familiar as the toilet or the other device there, the urine toilet there that most people use if you're a man or a woman or whatever you want to be. So we got the Beday automatic drip system, free watering frequency range, free watering duration range. I have no idea what that means. So here's the back of the box. Of course, auto irrigation system. This is the model number BSV-1IC, or it could be a 1C, 206/S. Battery, 3.7 volts, 2200 milliamp hours, so that's the typical battery. We'll have to open this up and see what kind of cell is inside. And the maxi water flow is 400 milliliters per minute. So we open up the box, and here's what's inside. Of course, we get a destruction manual. We get a bunch of these little plant stakes and tees. There might be even a cross in here. I'm not sure. It looks like there's more tees than anything. And then the various, of course, the emitters, and I think you get about 15 emitters. We got a little accessory pack. So we got a strainer for the pickup, and it's a weighted strainer, so that's very nice. It's got two glass marbles in it. And this is our backflow setup. So you always want to use your backflow, and I know some of the Amazon reviews that for whatever reason this wasn't included, but mine did come. So you definitely want to use this. And the reason why you want to use this is that you want to have your watering container lowered in the pump, and then of course you can either have your plants level with the pump, or you can have them higher. So if you have them higher, most likely all the water will drain back into the pump, and then it will have to reprime again, or at least have to push all the water up if it has to go higher than the pump. We got some mounting hardware, so in case you want to attach this to a wall, or like drywall or green board or something like that, or even brick or stucco, you can do that. Of course, we got the little bucket hanger, so this is what I will be using. We got a USB-C to A, so that's your cable to charge. And of course, you get so many feet of irrigation tubing. So this is a smaller than 1/4 inch. I think it's like a couple of millimeters, 3 or 4 millimeters or something like that. ID. So it's about 3 millimeter ID tubing. So if you ever needed more, you'd have to get a 3 millimeter tubing, because my other system uses like I think 1/4 inch or something like that. And of course, like I said, you can water up to like 15 different plants and stuff like that. So here's the unit itself. And of course, that little feature that I thought was very interesting is that soil probe. So kind of like my big irrigation system for the lawn, I rely on the soil probe to activate the irrigation timer. So the way I got my setup now on the lawns is that I set the controller to come on like every 3 or 4 days. So the only thing that stops it is the soil probe. So if the soil probe is open or closed, I don't remember what type of system it uses. I think it's an open system, and then when it gets dry, it closes, or it could be the opposite. I don't really remember, but whatever the criteria is, if it's let's just say if it's open and it's dry and then it closes, it completes the circuit for the common wire, and then the controller will run. Or in my setup, because my controller is a smart setup, it gives you an OK to let the system run. So if this closes and it's still not within the range of the schedule, gives that the grass roots a little chance to dry out even further, and lets the roots grow deeper to go find water. So this is the same concept. You're going to use this for I guess a different couple of scenarios where you could use this for your plant that uses the most water, and then you can have the system come on more frequently for that. Let's see. Jack's PC audio is way off. So what do you mean it's way off? Audio sync is getting better. So it's probably a little internet internet laggy or stuff like that. So I'll probably have to adjust that a little bit. And we got Peter Hall in here. Hey Peter, how you doing? Sound is here, bit off buffering. Yeah, I'll probably have to adjust the settings a little here. Of course, it's Sunday morning, you know, so everybody's probably on the internet. So with that, so as I was saying there, you know, you can use this to for your driest plant, or you can use this for your wettest plant, you know, and then have the timer go by that. So with this little guy, you're going to have to do some experimenting to figure out how much water you really need. So you're probably going to have to kind of like do it manually for a little while and adjust the time accordingly so you don't get any excess runoff on your, you know, so you don't fill up your drip pans and stuff like that with excess water and flood the floor, just in case you use this system like inside or something like that, you go on vacation. So very simple little setup here. So we'll turn this on. And of course, it's got a nice little backlight. So it shows up pretty good on camera. So right now it's on timing mode. So you're going to be using the timer setup for this. And it's got a couple of different screen zones. So we got a clock. So that gives you the real-time clock. And then we got the watering duration. So that's the next segment over. And then your first watering time. So the lower left is when you want your time of when it's going to come on. So this one's set up to come at 6 a.m. in the morning, and then your intervals where the systems either come on once a day, you can have it set up to come on a couple of times a day, or once a week, or once a month, or all depending on what your watering needs are. So that's all, you know, based on your particular needs. So my stuff is all going to be outside. So we got the manual here. So it's designed for balconies, patios, smart gardens without a faucet. And of course, charging is by electric power / USB. And of course, the water comes out of a container or something like that. Of course, you get a bunch of watering tubing, water tubing, T-joints, drip stakes are provided. I think there's like 15. And it tells you everything on here, how to run it. It's very simple design if you have something similar for like your bigger irrigation systems and stuff like that. So pretty easy. This is a pretty easy little irrigation system to set up. So just like on some of the irrigation systems, you turn the dial and it'll say, like this first segment here, it says how often. So you can either go up or down. It's like 1 day, or you can have it come on every 12 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. And of course you can go up from there for every 7 days. So if you water once a week, that's good enough if you have that criteria where, yeah, my plants are satisfied with the watering system coming on once a week. So being that all my stuff is outside, we're going to have it come on every day. And I got mine set up to come on for 15 minutes, but I got to see how much this pumps out. So like I said, it's an experimenting thing. Oh yeah, the remote audio. Yeah, I got to remember to actually turn that off, or turn off the microphone for that. So that's like another setting I'll have to play with. But for right now, I can just disconnect that because we're not going to be using that for right now. So that should be a little better to get rid of that echo. It's all a learning curve here. I never used this setup before, so we've got some bugs to work out. So I'm kind of basing this off my old system, 15 minutes, but this could be putting out more or less water. I'm going to say it's going to be putting out less because the tubing is a lot smaller, so I can adjust this so we can see how much it can go up. So up to 30 minutes. That's your maximum run time. And of course your start time, so a lot of times you can have your stuff set up early in the morning when it's cool. And of course then you can play with your clock settings and then have it continuously on. So like I said, it's like right now it's on timing mode. So it says there's a couple of different options here for the settings here. So every time you like right now it didn't keep the half-hour time, so I forgot to turn on the press the OK. So we'll go back up through that. So when you hit the OK, it will stop flashing and be set. So we'll go back to the on there. So like I said, I'm going to use the soil probe. So to switch over to that, all you got to do is push this right hand button. Now it says humidity. So I don't know why they call it humidity. They should just said soil probe or something like that. And you jam this into the plant, you know, probably up to the where the heat shrink starts, and that's probably about good enough. And of course, like I said, you know, then you got to do your own custom watering setup with various lengths of hoses, and depending how many plants you got, you will have to set up the different various plant stakes. So there's about 15 of them, and of course your inputs and your outputs are down here on the side of the unit here. So they are marked here. So the one closest to this display is your out, and then of course the other one is your input for your hoses. And then we got our soil probe cord coming out. And then we got, of course, this uses a rechargeable battery. We got a semi-protected USB-C port, so that's how you recharge the battery. To when you see the meter here on display getting low or flashing, you'll have to recharge that. And of course, the instruction says that the thing will last up to 30 days. So I would imagine that depends on how long and how often the thing comes on. So, you know, something that you'll have to monitor to for your charging needs. So I guess the only thing that we can do here is see what kind of cell is inside. So let's open this up and see what kind of cell is in it. So we'll do that. So it looks like everything is still working. So we'll take this little guy apart and see what's inside, see what kind of cell they use. Probably 18650 or something like that. It's funny, the little label on the back, it says solar irrigation system. Must be a generic housing they use. So it says solar irrigation system model BSV-IC206/S. Solar panel, 6 volts, 3 watts, battery, 3.7 volts, 2200 milliamp hour, and maxi water flow is 400 milliliters per minute, I should say. So they must make a solar version of this one. We might modify this one to be solar charged too at one point. So that's all the screws, so we'll see what's inside. We definitely do have a 18650, so that's pretty cool. So there's the guts of it. So we got a 18650. Of course, it said it was 2200 milliamp hour. And of course, there's the charging jack, USB-C. So all the charging stuff is on the back of the board. All plug and play, so nothing soldered. So if you had to change the battery, all you had to do is unplug it, put another one in. Same thing with the soil thing. They're all nicely semi-serviceable here. So this one was made in March 16th of 2024. Of course, we got some dip switches on here for something. Probably for solar powered or something, solar power or something like that. Who knows? But being that this is a 18650 here, and it's at 2.2 milliamp hours, so I would still say it's about 2 amp hours. We can definitely throw something else in there to make it last longer, or put something bigger in there. So I just happen to have some batteries here. So we got an 18650 at, I think, 3500. Yeah, so 3.5 amp hours. So we can maybe someday throw that in there. So that will probably give it maybe 40 days or 45 days of our runtime. Maybe we can throw something a little bigger in there. How about a 21700? We could throw that in there. That would fit in there. We could make it fit in there. And put a 5 amp hour battery in here someday. So that would definitely make it maybe 2 months, maybe 2.5 months of runtime. That would be pretty cool. So we'll put this back together so we don't destroy it, because still got to do some experimenting with the run times and stuff like that. So definitely user upgradable if you choose to. Of course, a lot of people ain't going to do stuff like I do. And modify it and stuff like that. So I don't really know if this is how weatherproof this is. I did see a gasket in between the two halves here, but you know, that's only friction fit and stuff like that. So probably not the greatest weatherproofing. Probably what I would do is put this in a housing, or at least put it over, put a bag over it so it don't get awfully wet. Probably because I would assume that there would be more water intrusion around the dial here and the buttons, and sometimes around the display cover here that you would have to protect. It's probably splash proof or something like that. That would be more suitable. So on the back here, it's got you know, mounting hardware for the screws and stuff like that. And of course, I'll be using the bucket attachment. So we'll put that on there, and then you just hang this on the side of the bucket to water it. So, you know, a pretty neat little watering device to help with your plants and stuff like that. Like, this will be going outside in the on the hanging baskets and stuff like that. So I got two different baskets like I had last year. I got a fuchsia and a petunia, and of course the fuchsia doesn't like a lot of water. It likes to dry out between waterings. So I learned from my mistakes last year. I just let both plants have the equal amount of water, and of course I had to deal with the root rot and fungus and stuff like that. And once I figured out what was doing wrong, and I adjusted the timings and watering schedule as according, and the plants made a little bit of a comeback toward the end of the year, and then the end of the season come, and it was time to say goodbye to them, and that was that. So I was going to run the same system with the same controller there, but when I fired it up for the first time, it just kept running and running and running, and so it lost its mind and stuff like that. So gave you a little story of what was going on. It looks like I still got some bugs to work out. I don't have any error messages on the bottom, OBS to bellyache. So pretty cool little setup here. Of course, we got some couple more little bugs to work out. I'll probably have to maybe back off on the frame rate a little bit. Of course, the mic and stuff like that is all the stuff I used from the DSLRs. So that holds true for all the scenes. You know, when I switch to the overhead and switch to the microscope. Speaking of microscope, I do have a little upgrade for the microscope that I'll have to have show off in a different live stream there, and show some comparisons, because I got another ring light, so it's got a little bit better light output, and it also come from the wonderful land of Australia. So maybe some people can figure out what it is and where it come from, and figure out what channel it come from. So we'll have that in a different live stream. So as for this one, pretty much went over everything that I needed to go over with this little guy there. So a nice user-friendly automatic system for house plants or patio plants, and maybe even a small garden outside if you need be. So that's about it for this live stream. Of course, I'll have to go over the footage and see how well it did and make adjustments accordingly. But that's it for this one. We'll see you on the next one. And for that, we'll see you a little bit later on the next live stream. So for now, bye-bye.